keep this a little organized between the editing of the photo and the coloring of it, I'm going to go to Image and I'm going to duplicate. I'll go to the upper right hand corner of the layer window, clicking on the white lines, and I'll choose Flatten Image. Now whatever I add will be a layer that will help me organize my tints. I'll start by doing the flesh tones of the man, adding a new layer, and I'll name it. You're going to need a few layers, so it's a good idea to name these and keep it organized. Going to my swatch window, under the pastels, I'll grab the lightest orange, and with my brush, I'll right click, I'll make the hardness 90, and I'll increase the size of my brush, and I'll start to paint. And then before I go too far, I'm going to identify the blend mode I'd like to use. Now at some point, we'll be using a layer mask perhaps to refine this and to take the color off things like eyeballs or teeth, or it just wouldn't be appropriate. I'll go to my layer window and I'll click on normal, and probably color will suit us. Now it looks a little bright, so once I kind of do a little bit more painting, I'll drop the opacity as well. So in the case of all of this colorization, it'll be a combination of these layers, a blend mode that works, and perhaps the opacity. Now everybody's going to handle this differently, but this is the basic workflow to accomplish whatever we need to do to colorize the photo. So now I'll go to my opacity in the layer window. I can here change the number in the opacity, or if I chose, I could hit V on the keyboard, and if I hit the numbers directly above the letters in the main keypad, I can drop it or add 10% opacity to that layer. And I'll want to keep that option so that when I start to introduce other colors, I may have to come back and reduce it or increase it. Now I'll put a layer mask on and I'll eliminate where the eyeballs might be orange. Now usually with skin tone, there's more than one color. I'll add a new layer, and I'm going to click on my color swatch on the toolbar, and I'll increase it in value to something darker. And I'll get my brush, and I'll increase the size of the brush, and I'm also going to decrease the hardness to about 50. I'll start to add a little color to where there might be darker values on the image. And I know that if I go to normal and I choose multiply, I'll get a richer translucent color. At this point, I would probably play with the opacity. And now that I know that I have the color perhaps that I want, I'll put it in, and then I'll come back with a layer mask. And with my brush, I'll reduce the hardness further, and I'll come in and I'll just kind of eliminate the edge in a very soft manner. And I would do the same thing with the woman depending on whatever tone I chose. Now I'm going to do the jacket. And to do so, I think I'll go down to the actual layer with the content. And at this point, it becomes intuitive. You start to use tools that makes the workflow a little easier. I think I'll try the quick select brush here. And I'll go in and see if I can select out the jacket. And with the quick select, the smaller the brush, when you get to narrower areas, the more responsive it will be. And I'll see if I can get it over on this contour. Now I can see that I went in and I didn't get some of the selection I wanted. So in this case, this is all selected through here. So I'll hold the Option key down with a smaller brush. Now see if I can pull this out. And I can see already having a little bit of an issue there. So what I'm going to do is I'll put my quick mask icon on. And if in the event your quick mask mode is too dark for the content below, you can double click on the icon on the toolbar and you can drop the opacity if you need to. And I'll go in and just kind of edit this out very quickly. With my quick mask selection complete, I'll click on the icon on the toolbar and I'll put a new layer in. I'll pick a color. This is very subjective at this point. And I will go ahead and run through my blend modes to see what would work. And I would do that for the rest of the document. A series of layers with color, and then the appropriate blend mode, and perhaps the transparency of that layer as well.